Hey, you guys, happy Wednesday. So, listen, I wanted to just come on here really quickly. I actually was not planning on doing this video. It's not the perfect uh, time necessarily, it's not the perfect like setup and all of that. But because of what I experienced yesterday, right, I was out with a friend, which I'll get into a little bit more. It just really reminded me why, number one, I chose Southeast Asia, my family, and I, let's say that, why we chose Southeast Asia, and why I believe that Southeast Asia, Thailand in particular, can be a great landing spot or soft landing for a lot of you women out there who are thinking about and who are planning on moving abroad. Now, you may hear a little bit of you may see some movements in the background and hear some, noise, talking, playing around. That's baby boy over there. Hubby, he's taking his morning rest because he sees clients pretty much at night due to the time difference. And our nanny is not doing so well past couple days, so she's off. So it's just me over here on mommy duties, and baby boy is alert, and well, he's a boy too. So if you've ever had boys or children in general, okay, I have my mic here, so you should be able to hear me more than you're hearing him, hopefully. But I really did not want to delay this video because I know that there are a lot of women out there who are wanting to move abroad but are scared, and I wanted to jump on here to share my sentiments and share why I believe that Southeast Asia can be a great place for you and why you should not be scared, okay? And things that you can do to make your landing a lot easier. So yesterday, I, met up with a friend, like I was saying before. She actually lives in Japan. She's a psychologist. Careful, baby. Okay, careful. See? Say hi. Yay, good job. She's a psychologist. She is in the Navy. She's a doctor. She has options. Up. Okay. Now say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Good job. She is a psychologist in the Navy. She's an officer. She is in the Navy. She's an officer. And so she has choices, right, in regards to where she goes, where she's based at. And we were talking yesterday, and she asked me some questions that really reminded me of why I chose Southeast Asia, and also just her sharing the things that she loves about living in Japan just reminded me of why Asia in general is such a soft landing, can be such a great landing for women and families, right? And so, she was asking me, she was sharing how she loves living in Japan, first of all, because of how easy it is, how the flow is, the accessibility to stuff, just the respect as well, even as a Black woman, she's a Black woman, and the respect that she gets there, and just the way of life and the culture. And she was even saying how it is going to be hard to go back to the US, when that time comes. And I 100% understand where she is coming from. And she was asking me, why we chose Southeast Asia, or Thailand in particular, of all the countries. We met, actually, the first time we met was through travel, right? We met on a little girl's trip in Belize. Her best friend at the time was a flight attendant. I was a flight attendant as well, and that's kind of how we met. We ended up going to Belize together, and we had such a great time, and we remain connected since then. And she is also an avid traveler. And, she was asking me of all the countries that I have been to, why Thailand? And, my answer was pretty easy. You guys. Number one, Thailand, I love the weather. No, baby, carefully, okay? I love the weather here. It reminds me of back home. So if some of you guys don't know, by the way, if you are new here, I'm Shanisha Bivia. I lived in the United States for all of my adult life. I was actually born in Jamaica. And, I spent all of my adult life in the U.S. doing what most Americans do. I eventually became an American citizen. I served in the United States Air Force. As a reservist, I worked in corporate. I started out doing odd jobs, working at fast food restaurants when I just, landed. I had a complete culture shock when I migrated to the U.S. As a teenager. And, it took some adjusting. And I eventually moved on to just living a regular life that most Americans live. You work a job, you drive a car, you probably live in an apartment. Eventually bought a house. I bought my first house at 23. I started businesses after that, joined the United States Air Force Reserve, landed my dream job as a flight attendant. I was living my best life. And, but after a while, I just realized that America was just getting to a place where I no longer really felt like I fit in. And so I got married eventually at 25. The culture in America just started to become something that I just no longer really wanted to be a part of. I no longer felt like I fit in. It was just this constant hustle grind culture. Is like you're constantly in this constant rat race, right? Like you could have the success, you could have the accolades, the degrees, you could have the businesses. Like I remember I made my first six figures in business in 6 months only a few years ago. And life was great, but it always felt like I was always trying to achieve and trying to overachieve or try to prove something and try to get the next thing, and always felt like I had to keep up. Now I understand that some people may say that just don't do that. Just don't try to keep up. But it's so hard in that culture where it's like also with things being, baby, carefully. With things being, with even the cost, inflation, with the cost of things continue to rise, it's almost impossible to live a life where you're not hustling all the time. You know what I mean? Like just the basic cost of living, from housing to food to like your car payment, car insurance. And then also the culture in America, at least most places, most states, it's such a car it's so car reliant, right? Where you always feel like where you need a car to go from point A to point B. If you need to go to the gym, then you need to go to the store. It's all the way over there. Then you need to go to the pharmacy. It's all the way over there. Then if you need a checkup, it's all the way over there. You need a car, in the US, which is fine. I loved driving, but once you've experienced life outside of that and experience cultures, communities, cities, and countries that are really walkable and where the infrastructure just makes sense in a way to really serve its people, where people can actually get out, get fresh air, walk, exercise, where things are accessible, in close proximity and stuff like that. Once you've experienced that, it's really hard to unsee it, And even outside of that, the crime in the US was just getting out of hand from the school events, right? From the school violence. I don't want my videos to be overly censored or anything like that, so I don't really want to use certain words on my channel. But from school events, you're at a park, you could be at a movie theater, you could be at a mall. In Texas alone, right before we left Texas, there were several random events. Okay, random events just out of nowhere in schools, malls that were close to us. And I'm just like, there's no way I see myself trying to raise a family here or trying to put children in school here, right? I was always pro homeschool. I had already planned on homeschooling, children or my child in the US because I just did not like where the school system was going. I mean, the indoctrination of the school system, the backwardsness of the system. The American system, it was already backwards. Even in other cultures, even where I'm from, the Caribbean, it's very advanced. I remember when I started community college in the US, I was beyond like everything that I was past everything that they were teaching, in community college, like the algebra stuff. And I was acing everything because I already did that in high school. Like, high school in the Caribbean is very advanced. It's pretty much college level. And so outside of that, they started having this system where it's like children would move on to the next grade, whether or not they're actually at the grade level, whether or not they are reading at the grade level. There's no child left behind thing. But reality is that it's doing children such disservice, because then they get to this grade and everybody else is ahead of them and they feel behind. They can't read, they can't do certain things, basic math, because they have advanced to the next level before being there. And so it's doing children such disservice. And it's just a lot that I can get into with the school system. If you know, if you follow stories or certain things on those topics, you probably know what I'm talking about. So that's very, very, very important to me. And I did not want my child to feel really boxed in, like, oh, they have to learn this at this time and have to spend so many hours on this. Like, children only need so many hours of school each day. Okay, I want my child to live a freedom-based life, like a more world schooling. I wanted to take a more like world schooling approach. We love to travel. I absolutely love to travel. I love what travel does for me. I love what it does for my nervous system. I love being able to immerse myself in different cultures, right? And just there's so much that you learn from travel that a classroom will never, ever, ever be able to give to you. Never, ever. And so that's why I decided to commit to homeschooling, because homeschooling does not mean that you have to isolate your children. There are homeschooling co-ops where you can connect and engage and do schooling with other families who are homeschooling. You can go out on adventures, museums, go to parks, go to different like schooling events and stuff like that. There's so much that you can do with homeschooling. Plus, what I love with homeschooling is that it's very flexible. You can just get up and travel with your children whenever and just, have them see the world. And so that is the approach that I wanted to take anyway. So that kind of made things a little bit easier in regards to deciding to, leave the U.S. to homeschool abroad. But to go back to what I was saying, that's one of the reasons, why we decided that the U.S. was no longer the place for us. The political tensions, right? The racial tensions. And, some people may say, you should stay and fight. Why don't we stay and fight? There's no point staying to fight for anything. Like, if things haven't changed in over 400 years, I don't see things changing anytime soon in my generation, the generation after me, and the generation after that. With how things are going, I don't see it going anywhere. And so I rather spend my energy living my best life, the life that God has given me here on earth, okay, all our days are numbered, versus fighting in a system that doesn't seem like it will change. But really quickly before I get off topic, I don't have notes. I don't have a script. I don't have notes or anything like that. So I'm trying my best to stay on topic. But one of the reasons why I chose Southeast Asia is because there's a lot about Southeast Asia that reminds me of home, particularly the parts of Thailand and particularly Bali, Indonesia. I love how it reminds me of home. When I say home, I'm talking about like the Caribbean, Jamaica, right? I love that I can see bananas growing on trees and coconuts growing on trees and mangoes and limes, like literally in my neighborhood, right? I'm taking a walk in my neighborhood. I'm seeing dragon fruit, you guys, on tree. I've never seen a dragon fruit on a tree a day in my life until I moved to Thailand, okay? I'm seeing limes in people's yards. We started growing limes, our own limes, actually. I'm seeing coconuts and papayas and stuff like that. And I love the accessibility to fruits and veggies. You guys, I've been living in Bangkok, Thailand for over a year now. And I still do not get tired of going to the market, the fresh market, and just seeing an abundance of fruits, seeing an abundance of veggies, bananas, papayas, guavas, watermelons, pineapples, like yes, pineapple, you name it. Like our son, he eats an abundance of fruits every single day. We always have, yes, dragon fruit. We always have dragon fruit in the house. We always have banana. Yes, dragon fruit. Yes, we always have dragon fruit in the house. My son is 2, by the way. He just turned 2 in last month. We always have dragon fruit in the house, bananas, papayas, and mangoes, watermelon. Well, mangoes when it's in season and stuff like that. Veggies. It's easy to just head to the market, the local market, and get a bunch of stuff. And you'll notice that a lot of the things that you will see in the US that requires refrigeration, here it's not refrigerated because it's so fresh. They literally get them from the farm. It's picked and it's just out. Fresh lettuce to even eggs. You'll see eggs. Eggs aren't stored in the refrigerators here, even in the stores. If you go in the grocery stores, eggs are actually stored on shelves. You'll notice that. I just love the freshness of fruits and veggies and the accessibility to it here. Also, the weather. I do love that it can be, the heat can be a little bit unbearable. It gets hot. It does get hot here, but I prefer the heat over snow and the cold any day. I know that some people like to have multiple seasons and they like to experience the cold. If I really want to experience the cold or the snow or whatnot, I will take a trip somewhere else. Okay, I will take a trip, maybe Japan somewhere or something like that. But I don't miss living in the cold and experiencing like winter seasons. So I love that about here. Um, Another thing that I love about living in Southeast Asia is that people genuinely love children. They love babies. They embrace them. And it's such a family friendly culture. America is getting to a point where they're becoming like anti families, anti children, not respecting children, not respecting families, and it's just such a shame to see because that's such a natural order of life, you know, and so things aren't necessarily designed and built to really support families. You'll see in other cultures, in other countries, even where, like even Finland, if I'm not mistaken, and other countries in the north, where women will get a certain amount of time, like they'll get an entire year of maternity leave, and it will be paid and supported, and all of these different things. And even men will have, you know, significant time off. In the US, it's just like 8 weeks, that's all you get. You have to get back to work. I'm just like, what about the women who are like breastfeeding for an entire year? You know, they don't consider those things, but in other countries, they do. They do, you know, they they have built, they have created infrastructures and built systems to truly support families, you know. And I love Southeast Asia because it's so family friendly. They have so much things to do here for children, so much support, different types of support for families. I love the healthcare, you guys, the quality of healthcare. I can go on and on about healthcare all day. The healthcare system that we have experienced in the US is not something that I desire to go back to. I mean, it's literally a night and day experience. It's literally a night and day experience, you guys. The healthcare that we experience here in Southeast Asia, even in Bali, Indonesia, even though it's you know, in general, Thailand overall has, I would say, a better infrastructure than Bali, Indonesia, but the healthcare in even Bali, Indonesia was even better than in the US. I mean, just top notch experience. Even in Malaysia, you guys, like just different parts of the world over here, the healthcare system is simply top notch and also even way more affordable. And then you will realize once you've experienced the healthcare system over here, I promise you, once you have experienced the healthcare system over here in Southeast Asia and even different parts of the world over here, you will realize that the healthcare system in the US is such a ripoff and is such a scam. I mean, people are paying, with families especially, I personally know people are paying like over $1,000 because they have a family for simply health insurance, okay? For a just in case, okay? And in addition to that, there are deductibles. So it's like, oh, you have to pay up to $5,000 for the first year or whatever however they do it. And then in addition to that, you have co-pays, you know? So it's like, what is the point of paying, you know, these high premiums if you still have co-pays and deductible? It's just such a ripoff. But not only that, the quality. So it's like you're paying an arm and a leg, but you're not even getting good service for it. Okay. And like I said before, I can share my experiences all day with like the healthcare system. And I have shared this before on my channel, how, you know, we just had a terrible experience at the children's hospital and how long we were waiting there for, and you know, just the unnecessary procedures and processes. And just over here, it's just so simple. But outside of those major stuff, I just love how easy it is to like go get a massage here, go get your nails done here. Like, of course, the cost here, you know, is a lot more affordable, especially if you are coming here with Western currency. But even without that, because, people always say that, yeah, if you're coming here with Western currency, or if you make US dollars, or, euros or Aussie dollars or whichever. But babes, these Thai these Thai women, these Thai people, they're living their best lives. Okay. When you go to a lot of the malls, where we live, the area that we live in, we are around a lot of locals. It's not so touristy, and the locals are living their best lives. Like our neighbors, the community that we live in, people drive nice cars here. People take vacations. People live well. Okay. When you go to the hospitals, there are locals at the hospitals too. Okay, it's not just foreigners. When you go to the fancy malls and the plazas here in Southeast Asia, and the fancy stores, even some of the name brand stores, you're seeing locals. Okay, you're seeing Thais. So I understand that, yes, foreigners do have that opportunity and that luxury of having their dollars stretch further in certain foreign countries, but don't get it twisted, you guys. People in their own country do pretty well too. Okay, so let's not get it twisted. Our neighbors, her daughter, they're Thais. They speak English well. Her daughter goes to an international school, and so it's not just Americans or Aussies or people from the UK who are coming here and making a good life for themselves. How these systems are set up in place, it is set up in place for a lot of the people to thrive. So yeah, just like in any society, right? Some people may take advantage of certain opportunities, just like in the US. There are some people who may take advantage of certain opportunities, and some people may not. It's the same with other societies as well. And so, yes, there's poverty everywhere. There are slums, anywhere that you go. But I just wish more people would also talk about that it's not just foreigners who go to these other societies that live well. Okay, there are locals. Okay, people who make Thai baht, who live well as well. There are a lot of people over here. I mean, Asia is the future, right? A lot of people are in tech and different things like that. So, but yeah, outside of that, I mean, Asia is such an easy place to land, right? The accessibility to stuff, you guys. Like, if you decide to rent a condo, I mean, best believe that your condo is probably going to have great amenities. The gym is probably going to have a 7-Eleven downstairs. Like where we live, we can walk to a local store. We can walk to a couple of restaurants. We can walk to the market, even though it's going to be a good walk, but we can walk to the market if we want to, or just jump on a tuk-tuk, or now that we bought a vehicle, we can drive there. So there are a lot of options. There's the train, the sky train, underground train, the MRT. You can get from one part of Thailand or Bangkok to like north of Thailand. So yeah, the accessibility and yeah, the cost of living, it makes sense. It makes sense, you guys. In the US, like, yes, you could make a lot of money. That's where you see a lot of people making a lot of money, but also still end up spending most of it. There's some people who make six figures, but they're still not happy because most of it is going towards basic living expenses. I took a pause to get baby boys some fresh fruits. So now I'm back. I don't even remember where I left off, but I wanted to just wrap this video up to say that if you've been thinking about moving abroad, if you feel like where you're living at right now, whether that's in the UK, whether that's in the US, you feel like the culture, the society, the tensions, the crime and violence is becoming overwhelming and unbearable to you and your family, and you have been feeling this call, you've been feeling this pull that it's time for you to leave your familiar. Sometimes God calls us out of our familiar, okay? We weren't necessarily meant to remain where we were born or where we were raised, okay? Sometimes God calls us to different assignments, for whatever reason that may be. But y'all, how things are looking in the US right now, it is unfortunate. It's such a shame. Like, with just everything. I mean, now you have the government shut down. planes being halted, travel being interrupted significantly. I mean, people's jobs being impacted. Like, so much is going on. And that's why I am so all for, people ask me all the time. Even yesterday, I was talking to Jessica and she was asking me, she was like, so you walked away from your dream job, you're no longer in the military. Like, how has entrepreneurship been and why entrepreneurship, And I just love the flexibility, the freedom, and the creativity that it gives, and the fulfillment that it gives me, to be quite honest. Being an entrepreneur doesn't necessarily mean that everything is always perfect, picture perfect, and that your revenue is always up. But there's something so fulfilling about it. There's nothing like freedom. There's nothing like owning more of your time. And yes, a job may have some type of security where okay, this paycheck may be coming, but then sometimes you never know. Is it really secure? Because, with so many people we've seen, in the pandemic, and we've seen now, even federal workers, not getting paid, and things being put on pause, even military personnel. Imagine that, right? You've served your country, and as someone who has served in the Air Force Reserves as well, I can speak to this. Imagine that, right? You raise your right hand to be treated as such. Military personnel should have been first priority. All of the federal workers, right, should be first priority. And of course, people who are struggling. There are women and children who are on certain programs, like those SNAP programs. You never know somebody's circumstances, right? Why they're on certain programs, food stamps, SNAPs, whichever. They may have lost their job unexpectedly. They may be a single parent. Their spouse probably passed away. There's just so many things that happen to people. And they may be low for a season, but it doesn't mean that they aren't ambitious. And it doesn't mean that they are lazy, right? And it doesn't mean that they're not going to get out of that situation. You never know. Those people should have been priority. And with the US saying, oh, we're going to pledge all this money to these different parts of the world. Okay, but what about your people? What about the water in Michigan? Like the water situation in Michigan. There's so many other issues that needs to be addressed within the US itself, but it's being put on the back burner. And it's just becoming such a backward system. It's not about any particular party. The US as a whole, right? They need to get it together, right? The entire system as a whole, the US is becoming such a corporation. It has been that way for a while. When you look at the healthcare system, it's not really meant to really truly serve the people. The healthcare system is such a money-making greed system. Why does it cost $50,000 to give birth? I mean, come on now. In Southeast Asia, you're getting premium top tier service with like 4 days worth of care, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and these postpartum support and all of these different things for like $4,000. Even in Malaysia, like premium care, quality service, okay, lactation support, all these meals covered, all of these things for like $4,000, top tier care. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. Like it's not like you're paying $3,000 and $4,000 for mediocre care. You're getting top-notch care, okay, of people who actually listen to you. And so that is just a big difference. You cannot even begin to compare it. So, y'all, I can talk on and on and on about this. My joy and my love and my ease and flow of just living here in Southeast Asia and not being in the United States right now. Like, my nervous system just feels better. I just feel more at ease, more peaceful. And a lot of the things that used to bother me in the US doesn't necessarily bother me now. I live a more simpler life, and I really truly enjoy it. I've let go of a lot of things that I realized were simply just stuff. Like, I rather experiences, and I just rather have peace than, be looking at clutter and things that don't matter and things that I'm not even really necessarily using. I just truly enjoy this life. And so I was talking about entrepreneurship earlier, and I kind of want to get back to that. If you're in a season of your life where you're like, okay, I want to try something different, maybe something more remote that allows me to have a more freedom-based lifestyle. I'm not sure what to do, how I could even do it, how I could convert or turn my skills or transfer my skills from like my corporate job or the military or wherever you have worked, okay, maybe a nonprofit, how you can transfer that into the into being an entrepreneur, I would love to invite you to join my waitlist, my the Move Abroad Escape workshop. Okay. I think it's called the Move Abroad Escape or the Move Abroad Escape workshop. Okay. That I'm thinking about putting on. And if you would be interested in that workshop, okay, where I'm covering it all, how you can really truly simplify your move. And we're even going into entrepreneurship, creating sustainable income that will allow you to live abroad, because moving abroad is one thing. You can probably move abroad with savings, but you're going to need to find a way to generate income if you don't already have some type of income in place. Some people are already retired, and so they have a system set up that pays them, passively, every single month or whichever. If you don't have a system like that, you're going to need to find a way to eventually create sustainable income if you don't have, let's say, a remote job that you can take with you. And so if this is you, if you are serious about changing your life, okay, changing your life, experiencing something different, I invite you to join the waitlist so that you can be the first to know when this workshop will be happening. It will be happening sooner rather than later. Also, if you are already, let's say, a consultant, you work with small businesses, you're looking for an additional stream of income. One of the things that I do for additional income is I'm a remote money lender, which means that I connect small businesses and real estate investors, all across the US to direct lenders who will fund their businesses to help them grow and increase their revenue. Okay. And so it's very simple. I've been doing it for close to 4 years now, and I do it fully remote. I can do it wherever in the world that I'm at while I'm traveling and create income online. And if this is something that you may be interested in, maybe you know a couple of small businesses, okay, or maybe you have worked with small businesses. Maybe you're a consultant, a CPA, a realtor, an investor, anyone in that capacity, or maybe you're just a mom. Okay. Maybe you're a stay-at-home mom and you're like, you know what? I'm looking for an additional stream of income. And you like that concept of simply connecting small business owners to lenders so that they can get their business funded. And once they get funded, you get paid. You get paid a fraction of that. Okay. So if a business gets funded 100,000 and that lender is paying you 5% or let's say 10%, that's $10,000 right there. Okay. And this is something that I've been doing since 2022, the earlier part of 2022. And this year, a lot more people have been asking me more about it. So I started to really share it a little bit more. And I created a deep dive playbook and training that goes over exactly how you can launch your own remote money lending business, aka your own loan business, okay, and help small business owners grow their business and get funded. 2 minutes. So if this sounds of interest to you, you can grab the playbook and the training below. And once you grab that playbook and training, you'll also have the opportunity to jump on a chat with us if you want us to help you build out your loan business for you. Okay. We have a fully done for you opportunity as well. So once you get the playbook, you learn more about how we can completely build it out for you. So guys, so let me just wrap up really quickly so I can get back on mommy duties. But yeah, listen, if you're thinking about moving abroad, just do it. Like, I just feel like most people won't have any regrets. Of course, it depends on where you go. You have to do your research. You have to be mindful. Do your research thoroughly. Make sure that it is the environment. Make sure that where you're going works well for your well-being. First of all, works well for your family. It works well for you. And so that's why I can't wait to host this workshop, because it's going to really get y'all together, really help you decide where you should be going and what you should be planning for and exactly how to plan that and how to actually make money out of nothing. Okay, I am telling you, coming from this girl here that was able to make 6 figures in 6 months, you guys, there's so many ways today in 2025 to create income abroad. And so I want to break some of those things down for you, for the average person. It does not matter if you have worked one job for 20, 30 years. This is also for you. All right, beautiful people. Again, it's your girl Shabivia. It was an absolute pleasure, and I'll see you in the next video.